Welcome back, everyone, now to the seventh day of our Profiles in Faith series. Today, we move our focus to Joseph. Joseph was the youngest of Jacob's sons, born to he and Rachel, whose narrative would, in time, save Jacob and his family from famine, and would be the beginning of the story of the Israelites in Egypt. Before all of that, however, Joseph's early relationship with his brothers was more than a bit strained, and that tension arises in the 37th chapter of Genesis. Genesis tells us that Jacob settled in the land where his father had lived as an alien, the land of Canaan. This is the story of the family of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was shepherding the flock with his brothers. He was a helper to the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought a bad report of them to their father. Now, Israel loved Joseph. Israel, remember, is the name for Jacob. And Israel loved Joseph more than any of his other children because he was the son of his old age. And he made him a long robe with sleeves. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him, and they could not speak peaceably to him. Now, I'm going to stop there for today. We're actually going to come back to this story again tomorrow, so we'll be spending 2 days on Joseph. We're going to do that because I came into this story confident of the message that I wanted to share through it. I was being drawn into the dreams that Joseph had, and I had some pretty clear reflections that I knew I wanted to bring out of that text. But when I sat with his story, I couldn't get past this moment in these earliest verses of Genesis 37. So we're going to come back to the dreams tomorrow, but for today, I want to set our sights on the coat that Jacob gives to Joseph. In our NRSV translation of Scripture, it loses some of its luster when it's referred to as a long robe with sleeves. Some of you may recall that in some of the more historic translation, it was known as the coat of many colors. On Broadway, it became known as the Technicolor Dreamcoat. But no matter the poetry of the words, it is a gown that was given to Joseph to serve as a clear sign of how much he was loved by his father. Now, in Joseph's case, this ends up playing out in the envy of his brothers, who see this as a clear indication of the manner in which Joseph is loved and more than they are. And that envy leads to their betraying of Joseph, his sale to the Ishmaelites, and the story unfolds from there that we will explore tomorrow. But for the purposes of today, I simply couldn't get beyond that image. That picture of Joseph walking down the path in this glorious multicolored cloak that screamed of the extent to which he was loved. The more I considered that picture, the more I imagined this emblem of the depths of Jacob's love for Joseph, the more I realized that I think we all could likely benefit from a few minutes of setting aside the distractions around us and looking for those Technicolor Dreamcoats in our lives that can remind us in the midst of this time of angst how truly loved we are. I think one of the many challenges of our current circumstance is that a great number of us are wearing all sorts of hats right now that we don't usually wear. I had a meme come across Facebook about a week and a half ago in which it said, "Pray for your pastors. Pray for your pastors who are trying to be researchers, public health officials, educators, chaplains, and technology gurus all at the same time." That meme resonated with me. And then sure enough, yesterday, as I was tracking back in Facebook, looking for that meme to be able to quote it for this reflection, I was interrupted right in the midst of that search by a 10-minute phone call with one of our members who needed my help getting Facebook to work on their computer so that they could watch all of these live broadcasts that are coming from the church. It's a state in which we all find ourselves right now. Uncharted waters almost seems trivial as a term for what we're experiencing, and many of us are trying to find new ways to fill all of the roles we were already filling, while adding to that our attempt to be social media specialists, epidemiologists, statisticians, and a dozen of others of hats we're trying to wear as we navigate our way through the gauntlet of living in the face of COVID-19, social distancing, and communal shutdowns. The risk inherent in all of that, however, is that it can and will absorb every ounce of our energy and attention to the point that we lose sight of those blessed reminders of the love that holds us dear in the face of trial. We're so busy familiarizing ourselves with new technologies, learning how to be at-home teachers, binging newscasts, researching statistics, and analyzing exponential graphs that we miss the kids laughing in the corner doing a puzzle. We shorten the phone call from our adult children or elderly parent, and we just don't take the time to pick up that Bible that's sitting on the shelf that can remind us, like all of those things, just how loved we are. Now, I know I'm exaggerating to make a point here. There is an admitted level of hyperbole in my argument, but I think the point stands. The reason I couldn't get beyond that image of Joseph and the coat of many colors is because there are few times in recorded history in which we have ever more needed those profound reminders of how truly loved we are. So, take it from this preacher who has been as absorbed in trying to multitask my way through all of this as much as anyone watching this video, I promise. Take a little time to put it aside now and then. Sit with the kids doing the puzzle in the corner. Make the call to the adult children or the elderly parent and pick up that Bible and read the story of which we're going to be reminded as we approach Holy Week next week. Because that's how loved you are. This is a time of challenge and isolation, the likes of which many of us have never known. So take some time to look around for the Technicolor Dreamcoats that you've been missing in the face of the trials and the duties and the distractions of the day. It's not going to cure all ills, but I assure you, you'll feel more than just a bit better if you do. Let's be in prayer together. Gracious God, your gifts of love to us are beyond compare. Help us in these trying days to look beyond the distractions of the moment and to see the love that surrounds us. Help us to look past the trial of the circumstance and to see your presence at work within us. Help us, God, to find our Technicolor Dreamcoats, that we might know the joy that stems from being reminded of how truly loved we are. For we pray it in his name. Amen. Blessings as always to all of you. Have a wonderful afternoon, and I'll see you tomorrow.